Hello my loves, Tony here from TL Yarn Crafts and welcome back. So today I am diving into a gadget that still has me trapped between I kind of love this and do I really need this? You're gonna have to let me know where you land by the end of this video. Now before we jump into the review, I have to give some love to my Cup of Caffeine sponsor. I know I have been slacking on my pimping, but honey, we are back at it. Now today's Cup of Caffeine sponsor has a really fun name. It's Scissors in My Pocket, and when donating they said love your work. Kept it short and sweet, and I have to say I love your taste. I hope you're having a fabulous day and thank you so much for supporting my work. Now if you enjoy my videos and want to support my channel, buy me a coffee. Who knows, I might shout you out in the next one. Now let's talk about this crochet gadget. So what is this mysterious gadget? Well, it's not so much a mystery, it is actually sitting right here. This is the electric icord knitting machine from CAYDO. And a big thank you to CAYDO for sending this my way to try out. Now I did choose purple for my icord maker because me and purple been hanging tough lately, but this is also available in blue and pink. There's a very simple on-off button to bring this baby to life, and when you do turn it on, the knob starts to turn, as do 4 latch hooks inside of the tool. It comes with a handy foot attachment to secure it to your desk, and voila, you are ready to make some icord. Now this isn't my first rodeo with this gadget, and learning how to use it came with a bit of trial and error, emphasis on the error. So my first tip for you, elevation is key. After trying out every bookshelf in my house, I actually found out that my standing desk is the best way for me to get the elevation I need. To secure the icord maker, you're going to rest the rubber side of the base onto your desk or shelf. And then you're going to swing the rubber foot around and twist the screw until the whole thing is secure on the surface. Now don't over tighten it, you don't want to damage your surface, but do make sure that the machine will not move. Now we need to give it some juice, right? And that's going to come from a USB-C charger. This thing does come with a USB-C cord, but it is shorter than my patience when working with mohair, so I would recommend using a cord that you have on hand. Fortunately, any USB-C cord is going to work just fine. One tap of that power button and we are in business, baby. You are going to need a few supplies to make your icord adventure successful, those being yarn, of course, and we're going to try out a few different weights to see what is best for our icord maker. I already mentioned the power cord. Any USB-C cord is going to work just fine. Just keep in mind that it does come with one if you don't have one already. You're also going to need a tapestry needle, and one does come with the kit, but I lost mine about 12 seconds after opening the box, so just go grab one from your stash if you need to. The kit also comes with these weights, and the weights are to hold onto the yarn that is feeding through the machine to give it a bit of tension. You're going to notice why that's important once we get going. Now, if you're planning to make a long strand of icord like I was, you're going to need a few other things, including a hair clip. Trust me, without these, your cord is going to tangle up something vicious and you just don't need those problems today. And then you're going to need a bowl or something to catch the yarn, because if you're making a yarn ball as big as mine, you're going to want somewhere for that yarn to go. Once you've got all your supplies, here's how to set up your machine to actually start making some icord. Start by threading the yarn through the guide and then put it onto your tapestry needle and drop it down the center of the machine. Next, you'll want to manually rotate the knob while the machine is still off. As you rotate, let the first hook catch the yarn, then skip the second hook, let the third hook catch, and skip the fourth hook. At this point, I like to manually rotate a few more times just to make sure the icord has gotten started. From here, you can take one of the weights and put it on the tail that is falling out from the bottom of the machine. And now you're ready to go. Press the button and watch the magic start. The knob is going to turn, the hooks are going to rotate, and you're going to see icord starting to be produced coming out of the bottom of the machine. Now you'll notice that the icord does twist as it's coming out. It's something to make note of. You don't have to deal with it when the cord is really short, but when it gets longer, it's definitely going to become your problem. As your cord continues to grow, you'll want to move the weight up to continually add even tension onto the cord that is produced. Now, if you're making a whole lot of cord like I did, this is where the hair clip and the metal bowl will become your absolute best friends. Once your cord has a little bit of length, let it fully untwist and then start wrapping it up and put the hair clip onto it. If you don't come up with some kind of solution to handle the really long end of your icord, you're going to have a twisted mess that is just going to be a headache to untangle later. Your Auntie Tony had to learn this the hard way, so please learn from my mistakes, sweetheart. Just be sure to fully untwist the cord before you put it into the clip, and trust me, your future self will thank you. So you're making plenty of cord, and now you're reaching the end of the ball. When you get to that point, I recommend applying just some light manual tension to the yarn and let the machine keep going until the cord falls out of the bottom. At this point, you're going to be left with 4 little live loops that you have to deal with. Gently pull the tail of the yarn so it's long enough to thread onto the tapestry needle, and then thread the needle through the 4 loops. Now, I'm sure there is a science to this to make it look really pretty, but I'm a crocheter and I don't know what the answer is. So I just put it through the loops, pulled it tightly, and then you can weave that end into the middle of your I-cord. Now that we know how to use our I-cord maker, it's time to decide what yarn we're going to put into it. So CAYDO provided several skeins of yarn with the yarn maker that they sent to me. It's just your classic acrylic DK weight that I'm sure works perfectly fine with this machine, but I am on a stash busting mission, so I went into my stash to find a few things to test out with our I-cord maker. First up was lace weight mohair. For something so thin and fiddly, it was surprisingly easy to set up, and the final result was this voluminous gauzy cord with this hollow center that is super stretchy and very flexible. Next up, I tried fingering weight merino wool. This also worked really well and made for super quick work in our I-cord maker. The cord is stretchy and hollow, and the stitches are neat throughout. I had some sport weight cotton bamboo linen in my stash, and this might be the exact yarn that this machine was designed for. It was effortless to use, and the resulting cord is less stretchy but perfectly opaque without being too stiff. This would make a great option for some chunky shoelaces. I know we've got some sneakerheads in our maker community, so take note. The DK weight yarn is where we really hit that like Goldilocks moment. I used my very own Happy Place, which is a cotton wool blend, and the machine loved this yarn. No snagging, it was a really good speed, and the final cord is sturdy but still perfect for crocheting. If I wasn't planning to crochet with this yarn, it would make an excellent drawstring for hoodies as well as pajama pants. Now it was time to push the limits, so I tried out Red Heart Super Saver for the worsted weight category. Now this yarn performed about as I expected, which is not at all. I got about 4 inches of cord out of this yarn before it completely backed up and just stalled out the machine. The tiny bit of cord that I did get is so stiff that it could probably stand up on its own 2 legs and walk away. Super Saver was a bit of a fail, but I'm glad I tried it. Now, after the disaster that was worsted weight yarn, I was a little bit nervous to try bulky weight, but I just had to see what would happen. So I tried out my very own yarn, which is Happy Place Apricity. I know the ball band says super bulky weight, but this has always felt like a category 5 bulky weight gauge to me, and thankfully the machine loved this yarn. I will say that it corded a little bit slower than it did with lighter weights, but the dense cord that came out of it would make for some nice sturdy art projects. So I tried a lot of kind of run-of-the-mill yarns so far, and I wanted to try some truly novelty yarns and see how those would turn out. First was a DK weight velvet that was surprisingly easy to cord. The machine moved quickly. I love the fuzziness and the strength of the resulting cording. Now this would be really amazing for those fancy pajamas, you know, the ones you don't actually wear to bed. Lazy Days is a worsted weight chainette polyester, and this also corded up very beautifully. The final cord is just as stretchy as the original yarn, and it's nice and thick. The stitches in the cord are very compact, and I think that would make for a really beautiful texture in whatever you did with this cording. And lastly, I tried Hobie's Mocktail. This is a single ply worsted weight yarn, and I'm gonna have to give it a solid 1 out of 10. You might not believe it, but it gave me even less cord than the Super Saver did. Being single ply, it just wasn't strong enough to hold up to the weight of the machine while it was running, and it split even faster than that tapestry needle that I mentioned earlier. Okay, so the science experiment is complete, and it's finally time to start stitching. I actually wanted to crochet something with this I-cord that I was making, so I had to decide what is going to be really cute in a small size, what works well for chunky weight, and what is something that I'm actually going to use. And the answer, of course, is a bag. So I did a little bit of research trying to find out what the girls are making these days, and I found all these mini little like dumpling bags and these mini shoppers, and I thought that would be perfect for this yarn. Next up was the yarn, and I went to Michael's and I found this really beautiful yarn called Merino Luxe. It's a DK weight merino wool and acrylic blend that comes in these really gorgeous solid colors. Now I ain't even gonna front, I am a Joanne girl through and through, and I am watching her slowly make her exit, so I figure I gotta learn how to dance with Michael's, and I'll be honest, I had a really good time just perusing around the shelves. Now my biggest gripe with Michael's has always been that they are understocked. There weren't more than 4 skeins of most of the yarns that I would buy, and I really wish they would do a better job of keeping stuff on the shelves, but I digress. I found the yarn that I needed and I took my butt home. This yarn comes in 150 gram skeins and I grabbed 2 skeins for my project. When I got it home, I kicked off the icord maker and the cord coming out of the machine is absolutely beautiful. So I have no complaints there. But what I will complain about is the speed of this machine. Now, if you only need a few yards of cord, it's no problem. It's going to spit that out easy. But if you're trying to cord up a 150 gram skein of yarn, I promise you, sweetheart, you're going to want to pack your patience and maybe even a snack. It took me not one, but 2 entire Jason Statham movies to make up this ball of icord. Just let that sink in for a minute. 2 entire movies of Jason Statham beating up everybody he sees for about an hour and a half, and I still only have 1 ball of icord. And as I'm watching these movies, making this cord is not a set it and forget it type of process. You're constantly moving the weight up the cord to apply that even tension, and you're wrapping cord and putting your clip on to make sure that your cord doesn't get all twisted up. And you're doing this just about every minute or two, so there's a lot of stopping and starting. I purchased the shopper tote from Agnique Designs on Etsy, and it does come in 3 different sizes, small, medium, and large. I went with the small because I'm an optimist, and I was pretty sure I'd be able to make an entire bag with 1 ball of icord. Spoiler alert, didn't happen. But crocheting with this icord was absolutely delightful. The yarn is super soft and so is the cord that it makes, so it makes for a very satisfying crochet experience. If you've stitched with cotton ribbon or t-shirt yarn before, it's going to feel very similar to that. It's nice and chunky, it moves quickly through the stitches, and the little V's of the actual icord are close enough together that I didn't have any problem with the yarn splitting while I was stitching. Now, like I said, I was convinced I'd be able to make an entire bag with 1 ball of icord, but then reality caught up with my delusion. I was only about halfway through the body of the bag when I ran out of yarn, so it was back to the drawing board to make even more icord. Now, I was able to empty out my inbox while I did this, so 2 birds, 1 stone, you know, looking for a silver lining here. And with the second ball of yarn all done and looking fine as can be, I was ready to get back to stitching. But first, I needed to secure the 2 ends of my yarn together. So I had my old yarn ball and my new yarn ball, and I had tails on either side. Now, I am sure there is a perfect way to graft these together so you can't tell where one starts and one ends, but I was not going to take the time to figure out what that was. I tried my absolute best to graft these ends together, and though it's not my finest work, it got the job done. I also took a moment to weigh the ball of yarn that I had because in my heart I felt like I needed about 1/3 of that ball left to make sure I could make the handles. Now, don't ask me why 1/3 felt like how much I needed left for the handles. Just call it like crocheter's intuition. It just felt right down deep in my spirit. Now, I am a big fan of instant gratification projects, and this one absolutely applies. I fell into that cozy crochet flow where the stitches were moving, the project was coming together, and I was really just enjoying myself. I've been working on a lot of bigger projects, blankets and sweaters, so to get this started and finished in just over a day just felt really, really good to me. I kind of needed that energy. So when I was done stitching, I did notice a bit of curling was going on with my project. So I stuffed it with some yarn and then I steamed it down really good. I kind of stretched and manipulated the stitches a bit and then laid it down flat to dry. While it was drying, I was thinking about some different ways that I could personalize my bag because it's a really nice base and I thought it would look cute with some little accessories. So I went into my stash and I found these classic TL Yarn Crafts wooden tags that I got made from Angie and Britt. And then I also found some leftover bag charms that I'd made from a career day that I did last month. And voila, here is my absolutely adorable chunky icord shopper. Ugh, I love it so much. Isn't it so cute? So it's just big enough for the essentials: phone, wallet, keys, lip gloss, you know, everything a girl needs. Adding some personalization really took this over the top for me. I was at about an 85% or so when I finished the project, and then putting these final touches on it really took it to that 100% for me. I am obsessed with this thing. How cute would it be for you and your bestie to go out for coffee in the summer with your handmade bags? Adorable. So yes, I am smitten with my project, but what is it that I do love and what is it that I don't love about this icord maker? Let's break it down. The thing that I love the most is that this is a fantastic stash busting option. Projects with thin yarns can sometimes feel like they take forever, and if you want that instant gratification as well, try making some icord and see how fast your projects go. I also love that you create a unique yarn that you're never going to see in stores. There are a lot of chainette yarns on the market now, which is awesome, but I've never seen one this chunky with this defined of stitches, so it's kind of like you have your own yarn making factory. And I also love that the creative possibilities are endless. Yes, I made a bag, but I also considered making a pillow or a wall hanging or a pet bed. This machine really does encourage you to think outside of the box when it comes to projects, and that's where all the best ideas are anyway. So now let's get into some things that I didn't love about this icord maker, the main one being the yarn weight limitations. Sport weight and DK weight work incredibly well, but I'd really love if this could accommodate some heavier yarns. I was really hoping Red Heart Super Saver would work with this because I have a ton of it and I would love to just cord it and make something and get it out of my stash. I'm sure adjusting this machine to accommodate heavier weights would totally change the mechanics of it, but a girl can dream. I was also really frustrated by the speed, or really the lack thereof. It would have been nice if this machine had at least 2 different speeds, like a slow for maybe heavier or tougher yarns, and then a fast for things that the machine could easily accommodate. What would also be nice is if this machine had a dial for the speed, similar to the electric yarn ball winder that is also from CAYDO. And my last and biggest frustration with this thing is the fact that the cord that comes out is twisted, so it creates an additional problem that you have to solve if you're going to make long lengths of icord. The problem here is that the hooks themselves are what twist, so the cord comes out twisted. Instead, it would be really nice if the yarn could move instead of the hooks moving, and then your cord would come straight out and you wouldn't have to deal with the twist at all. Now, despite these minor grievances, I really did enjoy using this machine and I am obsessed with the bag that came out of it. I see lots of other creative projects in my future, so I'm excited that I have one of these to play around with. If you're interested in getting your own electric icord maker, you can find a link for it down in the description, and make sure you use the code TLSaves at checkout for an additional discount just in time for Mother's Day. Hint, hint, wink, wink. Don't forget about your mom and the mom figures in your lives. I hope you're making some plans for them. I made a bag with my icord, but I am super curious. What would you make with it? Drop your ideas down in the comments. There is so much creativity in this community, so I'm really excited to see what ideas y'all come up with. And don't forget to check out my other gadget and yarn review videos, like the one I recently posted where I tested over 20 different cotton yarns for crochet. I think a few of my favorites will probably surprise you. I want to thank you so much for watching, babes. It has been an absolute pleasure hanging out with you. Please take good care of yourselves and keep those hooks moving. I will see y'all next time. Bye.